Alright, at this point, it's time to look at actually building the world that our games are going to exist in. And in Unity, what that means is we're going to add some terrain to our game. It's going to be effectively just a two-dimensional mesh that we can change the size of and the shape of to make it look like natural elements. I've created a new scene here called Terrain Scene. There's nothing in it currently. And I'm going to come up to the terrain window here, and I'm going to select Create Terrain. It's going to build this giant piece of terrain. It's way bigger than we're actually going to need. So what we need to do is we need to actually scale that a little bit. So I'm going to come back to the terrain menu and I'm going to select set resolution. That's going to allow me to manipulate how the terrain is sized. So we're starting with 2000. What we're going to do is we're instead just going to turn that into 200. Even 200 is a little bit larger than what we need, but we'll stick with that for now. I want to talk about the screen here a little bit. So we've changed our terrain width and we've changed our terrain length, and there's this thing terrain height. We're going to leave that the way it is for now. We're going to actually end up modifying that in the next video. We also have this height map resolution, which we're going to mention in the next video. We also have this detail resolution and texture resolutions and base texture resolutions, which we're not really going to worry about too much right now. When I've figured out exactly what I want to use, I'm going to hit set resolution, and we're going to see that my terrain becomes much more manageable now. It is of this size right here, so it's easier to manipulate. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to grab my camera here. We can see when I select my camera preview has the terrain kind of in the middle there and off to the side. Now that's because the terrain was created at the origin, and the origin is what the camera is focused on. So I have a couple of choices. I can either move the terrain over, or I can move the camera over. In this instance, I'm just going to go ahead and move the camera over. Since my terrain was 200 in width, I'm going to move my camera to position 100, and I can do that just by coming over here to the inspector tab and selecting 100 for my camera. I'm also going to now fine tune my camera a little bit. I'm going to lift it up a little bit. We can see the preview change a little bit, and I'm going to rotate it a little bit so it's looking down more towards the ground. And then I'm just going to go ahead and save my scene real quick there.